on to international snooker. Ron Gubber tells the story of the 14 exciting days last April when Cliff Thorburn became champion of the world.
I don't think that the top players of 10 years ago are the top players of today. And I think it's been proved in the World Championship and in the United Kingdom. And I think it'll be proved again in this World Championship.
Prophetic words indeed, heralding the emergence of the young pretenders. Flamboyant Kirk Stevens and his fellow Canadian Jimmy White, the previously unknown left-hander from Calgary. And Britain's own precocious youngsters, Anglo-Italian Tony Meo, who was to give Alex Higgins the fright of his life in a memorable first-round thriller. And Steve Davis, who provided the shock of the fortnight by beating the reigning world champion Terry Griffiths, and has since proved that performance to be no fluke by winning last month's United Kingdom Championship. The dawn of a new age for snooker, an upsurge of youth in the old game. A phenomenon which we've brought two of our commentators, former world billiards champion Rex Williams and 11 times world snooker champion John Pullman, together to discuss.
Good shot, John.
I think any shot's a good shot for me, right?
Yeah, this game's getting really tough these days, John, with the terrific youngsters that are coming into the game. I think that possibly last year's World Snooker Championship showed the tremendous talent there is amongst the young players today.
Oh, indeed, there's so many of them that seem to have arrived in the last 12 months or so. One or two, a couple from Canada, in fact, Kirk Stevens, Jimmy White, who'd never been heard of in this country. Both you and I had seen him in Canada. We knew that he was a fair player. But he surprised both of us by beating both of us, if you remember.
Yes, indeed.
Hate to bring that up. But Tony Meo, another great youngster, only a mere 21 years of age. So many of them that seem to be right on the brink of breaking through these days.
Well, I think the one player, of course, in last year's World Snooker Championship that played tremendous snooker was Kirk Stevens. Of course, he had two terrific wins against John Spencer and Eddie Charlton. And I don't think anyone really thought that it was possible to keep that type of potting going as consistently as Kirk did. It really was tremendous potting. I don't think I've ever seen anyone pot any better.
No, he's a very, very aggressive young player and very attractive, of course, to the punters because of that. People do love to see these long pots going in. And this, I think, is part of the thing, part of the evolvement of snooker, the fact that the game is played a little more aggressively than it was certainly in my time and yours. And I think this has opened up tremendous possibilities for the game.
Tony Meo could hardly have been more aggressive with his first-round challenge to Alex Higgins. The young man from Tooting forced the match to a 19th and decisive frame and had the Hurricane on the very edge of defeat.
Onto the pink for the centre pocket.
One.
Well, Tony Meo has got
7.
a good chance here in this final frame. Tremendous amount of pressure
8.
on this young man. He's gone a little bit too far on that blue, but I think that he'll just pot the blue and go into the reds. No, he's elected to take it into the corner pocket.
13. 14. $19.
He's got a red there into the top corner pocket. Not an easy one, but I think you can see one red there that will go. Yes, it was a very good shot and nicely in position on the blue. Just on the right side to come back onto the reds.
$25.
Fought his way to the last 24 of this year's Embassy Championship by defeating South African Jimmy van Rensburg and Australia's Paddy Morgan in the preliminary rounds.
$32.
That was a cracking pink, Ted, under pressure. It really was a big shot. He's a little bit unfortunate not to get back onto those two reds, which will go across into that corner pocket. Having to use the half butt to pot it. Probably try and send the cue ball down to safety at the same time.
One. Alex Higgins, 1.
37 points to 1 then, in favour of the 20-year-old Londoner. This could be a mistake. Caught it far too thick.
What, please? One.
Higgins potted that red to just cannon onto the other red by the black spot to open the black spot up when he pots the black next time. It's a very good shot. He's now got the black clear into that same pocket after potting this red.
9. $16.
10 points in it.
17. $24. 25.
I should have sent 20 points in it just now. Higgins continues his break. 5 points behind.
31. 32. 39. 40.
Takes the lead.
47. 48.
One red to go. It's been a great battle. Never more than 2 frames separated the two players. "19 points in front. The black will make it 26.
"62.
And Tony Mio wonders whether he will be able to get to the table again. He will, for his snooker.
Wide, please.
He's out of the snooker, but he's left the possible yellow.
Two.
That surely seals the fate on this first round match between former champion Higgins and the youngster from London, Tony Mio. The frames have gone back and forth throughout the 19 frames of this first round match. Finally, it is the experience of Alex Hurricane Higgins. And he just leaves the black, and congratulations all round as finally Alex Hurricane Higgins defeats London's 20-year-old star Tony Mio by 10 frames to 9.
I think over the last, well, since I got married, I've decided that it'd be nice to win the World Championship. And I've got all the ability, and it's just to sort of put myself together and say, well, you've got to stop playing to the crowd. You've got to play for yourself. Because apart from getting all these fantastic long pots and doing this with a white ball and that with a white ball, I can play safe. Ask Ray Reardon, because when we get into a safety battle, if it's prolonged, I would win the safety battle. So there's no problem for me just sticking a guy down the table, and I realise that's what I've got to do to win the World Championship.
A more sober approach to the game by the sometimes unpredictable Irishman, who'd come to Sheffield convinced that this was to be the year of the Hurricane. And the second obstacle for Higgins to overcome would be the South African Perry Mons, as the top 8 seeds came into the contest for the first time in the second round. All of the established names were there: Eddie Charlton, John Spencer, Cliff Thorburn, Fred Davis, Ray Reardon, plus at the top the reigning champion Terry Griffiths, who'd won the title at his first attempt and who a few weeks before his defence of it was in a confident mood.
My tip for the tournament, of course, if you'd like to know who the runner-up will be this year, I can't tend to think now.
But Alex Higgins had a few words of caution for the confident Welshman.
I think before Terry won the championship, he was the type of guy that would only probably work once a week. I saw him, but people like Reardon, Spencer, myself, and a few others work 4 or 5 nights a week. And the pressure is in missing the practice. You know, when you're in demand and you have to travel the length and breadth of the country. And I found that as soon as I won the championship, the demand was there. And your practice suffers. You don't have your 2 or 3 hours a day on the table. And now that Terry's actually won the championship, he's got to keep on winning. And that's a different kind of pressure as to being an underdog.
And by the time Griffiths got to Sheffield, the pressure was showing.
I certainly feel the tension. I've been, like I say, very, very nervous indeed. Just the only time I relax is when I go on the table.
Well,
you know, this is how I've been feeling lately, and the last few weeks I haven't been playing very well. But I just can't concentrate on playing. Everything's on this week somehow.
Steve Davis, the young Londoner so highly rated by the senior players, was probably the one man Terry Griffiths most wanted to avoid in his first match. Griffiths quickly found himself 7 frames to 0 down, but then staged a great recovery to level the match at 10-all.
Attempted the double there, I think.
For Davis, an odd, anxious moment, but in the 23rd frame, the lad from Plumstead was within sight of his goal.
Yes, I know exactly what's going through Steve's mind at this moment. He would just love to be able to put that yellow into the pocket. Although he's virtually won this match now, he still really has to win it. Just that possibility that his friend could slip away from him. One good snooker from Terry and the game could be wide open. This looks to be the chance that Steve wants.
Still looking quite composed is the world champion.
Steve Davis.
Still they have to be potted. $32 points the difference. 25 points on the table.
Of course, Terry now needing 2 snookers. Very, very difficult task.
Terry Griffiths.
Happy young men.
Well, that's the first of the 2 snookers that he requires, and not a bad snooker, that. Not an easy path to the brown from there. 2 cushions, I would suggest. Behind the pink, side cushion, top cushion, onto the brown.
Foul. 4, Terry Griffith.
25 points in it now. 22 points left. Just one more snooker.
Well, there is a possibility here for Terry to get behind the black. And all of a sudden the game is alive once more.
It appears the pink might be in the way there, John. He's unlucky.
4, Terry Griffith.
Griffiths can now win.
Quiet, please. Thank you.
"21 points in it. All of a sudden, he sees the frame in a different light.
Oh, and Terry will be regretting that. Overhit it by a yard at least.
Terry Griffith.
Going very near the bottom pocket. This surely, then, the opportunity that Steve Davis has been awaiting.
I think he's won this frame about 3 times already, Ted. You know, it's an extraordinary game, isn't it? This. Here's the cue ball going in.
A smile all over his face now.
I will imagine that he'll dribble this pink to the top pocket.
And it's there. The world champion is out of the championship. Defeated by this 22-year-old Londoner, who in fact has been a professional for only 19 months. A great victory at 13 frames to 10.
Steve Davis, how are you feeling? You had a good day?
Yeah. Yes, I have. it's going to be a better one tonight as well.
Really?
Yeah. Even though it's still a long way to go, I think it deserves a little celebration.
That was a quite incredible frame of snooker.
Yeah. Green was a bad shot. But apart from that...
You'll live on the green for quite some time, I think.
Yes, I shall go back to where I should have perhaps rolled it in full, where it wasn't going to be going off in the middle pocket, then playing a silly stun, which sometimes is a harder shot. But never mind, you know. All ended up well.
I mean, you'll think about the last frame, you'll think about...
Oh, it'll go around in my head for ages now. Oh, yeah.
In-offs, everything.
Yeah. Nearly went off a blue.
I can't really put my finger on what really happened because normally I just come to these big things and build myself up. When I come there, I feel great. But this time, I was so nervous coming to before the build-up to the championships. And then when I came and played, I was so relaxed, I was so pleased. I thought, oh, I've relaxed, this is great. But I didn't stop relaxing. I was playing on the table, and all of a sudden I was 7-1 down. And it's very difficult to come back from there, but...
But you did.
Well, I did come back from there, and like I say, Stephen, the first night, he had everything went right for him, and he played well. And this morning, I thought to myself, I've got to play well and also have the run of the balls, which I did have this morning. Things went right for me. There's one frame, I knocked a red in, off another red, and cleared the board at 90. You must have been feeling a bit disappointed, but that last frame was a bit much, really.
And so for the Welshman, a departure as sudden as his arrival 12 months earlier, and for Steve Davis, a moment to savour. But the tournament also had its lighter moments. One of them concerned that other Welshman, Doug Mountjoy, here in a tight situation in his second round match with Cliff Thorburn. The 18th frame has already been in progress 47 minutes when the balls become trapped in the corner.
Nearly touching. If they had have been, of course, Mountjoy would have been able to shoot the cue ball directly away and left Thorburn the length of the table away. As it is, he himself must make contact with the brown. This frame already the longest of the match, over 50 minutes. Cushion first. Oh, now this really is trouble. Which means that Mountjoy can simply shoot the cue ball away.
It had been a 21-minute duel, which could end only one way.
Dead strength, dead strength. Oh!
7, Doug Mountjoy.
So Cliff Thorburn lost that little battle, but went on to win the match and take his place in the last 8 of the championship. And what a fascinating quarter-final lineup it was. Ray Reardon, at the bottom of the caption, must have fancied his chances against Manchester's David Taylor. And who could argue that the match of the round would be the one at the top between Steve Davis and Alex Higgins? But there was one quite remarkable feature in the middle section of the draw that had even John Pulman slightly surprised.
And who would have thought, Rex, at that stage, the last 8 players in the competition, 4 of them would have been overseas players and 3, in fact, Canadians.
Yes, indeed, John. I think what's very interesting is the age of these Canadians. Kirk Stevens, 21, Jim White's 25, and of course Cliff Thorburn only 32 years of age, so they will be around for a long time. I think that probably Kirk Stevens was very interesting the way he played this year, because he had some tremendous wins, and of course came within 1 ball of breaking the championship record when he missed the black off the spot, 136.
125. Stop. Well, he's a little bit straight on the pink, but I think he can do this. Possible 143 is amongst the big money here. Come on now. Well, the audience are smiling, but he's very serious, and this is a very big ball.
And then, of course, Jim White had a great championship, beat you and I, which must have been quite a performance. And then, of course, he came up against Cliff Thorburn.
Yeah, well, of course, that proved to be his undoing, probably because of the fact that he's played Cliff so many times in Canada and more often than not managed to get second, so he wouldn't really have been fancying his chances against Cliff, I don't think. Anybody else in the draw, he might well have gone on into the semi-final, I feel.
Thorburn, who's had a very good match against his fellow countryman, Jim White. In fact, over the 3 sessions, he has taken the first 2 sessions at 5-3 each, and here in this last session is about to take the first 3 frames. And that's the one. And Jim White comes forward to congratulate his pal, Cliff Thorburn, the Canadian champion, who now goes into our semi-final, having defeated his fellow countryman by 13 frames to 6.
The last of the Canadian trio, Kirk Stevens, was clearly enjoying himself against the Australian Eddie Charlton, the most experienced of the overseas players. For Charlton, it was once again a case of what might have been. Whilst for Kirk Stevens, it was an achievement beyond even his wildest dreams, a place in the semi-finals.
I can recall Charlton wriggling out of some desperate situations. 2 years ago here at the Crucible, he was 3 down with 4 to play against Willie Thorne and won that. He was 4 down with 5 to play against Cliff Thorburn and won that. But his situation now is even more desperate.
And just as Charlton had experienced insurmountable problems against Stevens, so 6 times world champion Ray Reardon was in unexpected difficulties against David Taylor. Here, Reardon needs 2 snookers to survive.
Raven.
It could have been even worse for Taylor, that, if the cue ball had crept behind the blue, leaving Reardon another free ball. As it is, he's immediately got another snooker to cope with.
A brief reprieve for Reardon, but 2 shots later, had his safety finally let him down.
But after some 9.5 hours in all, spread over the 3 sessions, that must surely be the end as far as Reardon's concerned.
Five. Nine.
The win of his life for David Taylor.
The yellow scores 2. The final got off to a rip-roaring start. The first 4 frames were completed in just 49 minutes. And potting with the accuracy of a jungle sniper, Kirk Stevens had raced to a 5 frames to 2 lead by the end of the first session. But Higgins was in no mood to surrender, and showing great determination had fought back to 7-all by the halfway stage. The young Canadian continued to thrill the audience, but the tide had begun to turn. By the 29th frame, it was the Irishman who had forced his way to the brink of victory, and Stevens was fighting for survival.
One, Alex Higgins. One.
Well, of course, Kirk really needs the black with this red.
Seven.
Very nice shot indeed. Nice little run through there, tucked in behind the brown.
Foul.
And
6, Kirk Stevens.
6 away, so 22-54. Just 32 behind. And 35 on the table, so Kirk is in with a chance again. Oh, that's close. And that is a dead snooker. And what is more, the middle pocket is quite a hazard there.
Well, he's got to hit this one. He really needs to hit it badly.
Ball.
Free ball.
4, Alex Higgins.
John Williams declares free ball. And Alex declines, fancying the red. And that surely must be the end.
Five.
So 41 the lead now. And it does seem as though Alex Higgins has withstood the pressures again of another young player, a world-class player, to come through a tremendous match, suffering all the pangs and anxieties, to get to the final of this World Championship. And there Kirk concedes, and a very nice gesture. Alex pats him on the back and says, well done, and it is truly well done, because these two young men have given us a real feast of snooker.
The end of the road for the youngest ever semi-finalist. A place in the final for Alex Higgins.
I've played Cliff.
Place in the final for Alex Higgins.
I've played Cliff before. I've beaten him in Canada, and that was, I beat him 9-6 on his own territory, on his type of table, and really he's playing on the English type table, and I'm sure I can cope with Cliff.
You know, I've played him 5 or 6 times now, and you know, we've always had very close matches. Now, I did see his interview earlier on, and he said that he beat me the last time that we played in Canada, but I beat him.
And so the moment of truth has arrived. After 12 days, the 24 starters have been whittled down to just 2. Can the Canadian champion Cliff Thorburn become the first overseas player to win the world title? Or will Alex Higgins live up to his pre-tournament boast that this would be the year of the Hurricane and regain the title he won at his first attempt in 1972? After losing the opening frame, Higgins then took the next 4, and when he came to the table again in the 6th, it was beginning to look as if the final might be a walkover.
Alex is in amongst the reds again, and Cliff, one of the difficulties facing at the moment, being 3 frames behind, even when he does get his opportunity, it's a lot more difficult to think clearly and try and make a big break.
17.
So Alex goes into the lead in a very favourable position indeed.
18. 24. 25. 31. 32. 33. 38. 39. 45.
32 ahead.
46. 52. 53.
And again, that is the big ball of the frame for Alex. Cliff Thorburn now requiring snookers.
59. 60. 68.
'Beautifully controlled double now onto the ground. 75 breaks so far. Possible 93.
80.
'Oh, that's a beautiful shot. Really beautiful shot there. Break of 86 plus the black, and Alex goes into a 5-1 frame lead. Beautiful break.
Higgins then 4 frames ahead and racing away with the final. But could he keep it up for 35 frames?
I think probably what was causing Cliff a little bit of trouble at this stage, because Cliff is a tremendous safety player, and that is that Higgins was really beating Cliff at his own game.
Yes, well, of course, unfortunately for Alex, having then got into a 9-5 lead, which was quite a commanding lead at that stage, he changed his game somewhat. He started to have a flash at these long ones, which is so well known, of course, and they weren't quite coming off.
Really, Higgins squandered a 4-frame lead that he'd worked very hard to build up. And when he was 9-5 in front and Cliff Thorburn made it 9-all to finish the first day, I went into Cliff's dressing room and he said to me that he couldn't believe it, that he was back level at 9-all, and that he thought he could win the championship from anywhere at that stage.
They were still level 13-all at the start of the final session. Higgins took the opening frame and again had the edge in the second. The Hurricane back in the driving seat in this crucial 28th frame. Could he contain himself this time and move into a vital 2-frame lead?
I think that this is dropping perfect for Higgins to come off the bottom cushion after potting the green and kiss the brown out. Well, it was, but he just got a little bit under the ball, a bit too much.
5.
And he's finished up snookering himself.
Well now, Cliff here
trailing by just 11 points. And there are 22 points on the table. And he's played a shot there that was not easy to play. Off the knuckle of the inside of the jaw.
Well, Thorburn played a very good shot there and left Higgins in a lot of trouble. And that was a pretty good shot from Higgins, but just a little bit too hard. Possible chance here for Thorburn.
Well, that had a good look before it entered. Well, he's got to get on the pink off this blue. So Cliff Thorburn needs the pink and the black.
And what a very difficult pink this is, Jack. Left right on the jaw of the centre pocket. This is a really tough shot, and he's not going to leave himself an easy shot on the black should he get it.
Well, and I expect there are many snooker players watching this who would say, well, that's a pretty straightforward pot, but my word, under these conditions, this is as tough as they come. So, frame 28, all on the black.
Well, he's got out of it safe, but I think he's going to be in a lot of trouble after this shot. Yes, I could see a lot of trouble coming there. Well, I would think that he can either play the black back up the table or try and beat under the side cushion or even hit the cushion first. He's got three choices, but all very difficult.
Now, has he left it? And I think he has. Well, normally that would be left, but predictions are out at the moment. Well done. And Cliff Thorburn was up very quickly there, a little waggle of his cue to indicate his happiness there at having potted the black. So we're back to 14 frames all. Well done. And Cliff Thorburn was up very quickly there, a little waggle of his cue to indicate his happiness there at having potted the black. So we're back to 14 frames all.
A great recovery then by Thorburn, and a few minutes later it was he who had the chance to take a 2-frame lead, ahead 16 frames to 15, and once again into the colours.
6.
And Alex watching every stroke, surely seeing the world title run away from him.
9.
And so Alex has another chance. The difference is just 16 points. Perfect strength. He requires the black.
And so, incredibly, they were level again at 16 all, with just 3 left to play.
The gladiator returns. And the match continues. All square, 16 frames each. And this time the cue ball is coming way back up the table.
Ladies and gentlemen, please. One. Seven. Seven.
Red over the pocket then. Anxious as ever.
1.
So many times, Cliff Thorburn has got his nose in front. And on every occasion, Alex has drawn square with him.
Seven.
7 points each. 16 frames each.
Thirteen.
Just on the right side of the blue, enabling the cue ball to come up for the next red.
Nineteen. Twenty. $23.
He's a tall chap, but he needs the half butt this time. And he's brought a half butt cue with him all the way from Canada. Made in 3 pieces. You can see the join twice.
$24.
Quite an awkward shot for Cliff, this. Not an easy pot by any means, and he's Got to stun the cue ball for the red, and he's played it beautifully. Would make life so much easier for him, of course, if he could get the black out into play.
30.
At the moment it's hemmed in by two reds.
$31.
Would have liked the cue ball another inch down the table.
$36. $37.
The break now 42.
$42.
Just clipped the pack and has placed himself awkwardly.
Yes, he's probably quite happy about potting the red, but the positional stroke is rather difficult from there. As if he may be able to get on the pink into the middle pocket.
43. $49.
The break goes to 50.
50.
And what a tremendously hard 50 it's been, having to work all the way. No black to use, having to go down for the blue most times, the odd pink off its spot into the middle. A very difficult break, very well compiled.
And Alex again, stern, sees himself falling one frame behind.
97.
The break goes to 62.
62.
Alex now unable to win by taking the balls on the table. The break 70, and still a possible 51 there. Cliff was trying to screw into the red there to leave himself the other one into the corner, but missed it, and I don't think he's able to pot a ball now.
Oh, brilliant.
$85. 86.
Alex just waits. This has been an absolutely magnificent break by Cliff Thorburn when one realizes that he virtually gave the last frame away, having virtually won it, to come back immediately in the next frame and make a magnificent break like this is really a test of nerve.
94.
It may be cold and breezy outside, but here in the Crucible Theatre, there is really a very warm stillness. The break then will be 119 if he takes these two balls, the 11th snooker century chips here at Sheffield.
112.
And so Thorburn goes 1 frame ahead to lead now 17 frames to 16.
And so...
I don't think anybody would expect medals for guessing the next shot to be played. Cue ball right behind the brown, I would imagine.
1, Cliff Thorburn.
Nicely out of the snooker. But has he done any damage? $36 points the difference.
Well, it looks as if Cliff can pop this red into the corner pocket.
He just wants this frame
8.
to become world snooker champion, take the trophy and £15,000. He's now 51 points ahead and a possible 51 points on the table.
15.
And that shot must truly sadden the heart of Alex Hurricane Higgins. Alex Higgins, who won this title at his first attempt in 1972, was defeated in the final in 1976 by Ray Reardon.
19.
This has been truly a great final. We have seen some magnificent snooker
in the past 2 weeks here at the Crucible at Sheffield. Great shot. And Cliff Thorburn must surely be now thinking of donning the Embassy World crown. "67 points in front, with a mere 27 points left on the table." The world title for the first time going across the water to Canada. 32-year-old Cliff Thorburn from Toronto. Defeated by John Spencer in 1977, has fought his battles through Doug Mountjoy, Jim White, David Taylor, and now finally the unpredictable Alex Hurricane Higgins to take the Embassy World Snooker Championship title in 1980.
I'm speechless, but I must say that it's very difficult to play in front of Alex Higgins' home crowd. It's the same thing when Alex comes over to Canada. You're a fantastic audience, and I just hope that you stick with him because he's the biggest draw in the game of snooker today.
Alex, a tribute from a champion there, and you know what the crowd think about it, but you must at the moment be the most disappointed man in the world.
I've had disappointments before, but I'll bounce back. The thing is, I lost the match, really, the third session, when I was 7-3 in front. My old crowd pleasing bit come back again.
Yes.
But it's hard to live with. But I mean, I do, but I'll bounce.